Well, have you ever had this happen to you where you're all ready to put your new kitchen together here and you had some kind of an issue or a leak in the plumbing back there and you had to make an emergency repair and you had to slice into your drywall under the counter here. But now, how do you patch that up? So that's the situation we have right here. So we have these new counters, and this is the cabinets here. The counters are coming today. The granite guys will be coming in, and they're going to put a huge counter that goes right across here. So we want to get this repair done pretty quickly today before they get here. Hey everybody, Jeff here, and welcome back to our channel. If this is your first time visiting us, this is a great time for you to take a look at the subscription button down below, and you want to click on that so you can be aware of all of the other videos that we put out to help you. So this is all for you, my friends. And at the same time, when you subscribe, make sure you click on that bell icon right next to it that'll appear when you subscribe, because it doesn't make any sense if you subscribe without being alerted to every time we put up a new video. Okay? And then if you have any questions at all, leave them down in the comments and we'll answer them for you. So let's get started with today's project. So how are we going to do this? There's two possible ways of doing this. One, we could, we've only got one screw in here right now holding this base cabinet in place. So all we got to do is unscrew that and we could pull the cabinet out and then we would have easy access to the drywall here. But I'm not going to do that, and I'll tell you why. Because we went through a lot of effort already placing this cabinet exactly where it is, giving us the exact 24-inch depth here and whatever depth we needed in the back. And it's, you know, it's secured to the wall and everything, and it's really not that big a deal to undo that bolt. But what I want to do is make this more or less like the scenario most of you out there watching this would have, which means you've already got your counters on, and maybe you had some kind of a leak that you had to fix under the sink. So I'm going to make this more difficult for myself, and I'm going to repair the drywall right here in place, right under the back brace here of the cabinet. So this way it'll simulate a more difficult scenario for us. Okay, so let's get started on that. Okay, so just a brief overview of what happened that led up to this. So a frame here was being built. We're going to do a little backsplash here, a little edge here. And while they were cutting off the old counter, the blade from the circular saw came down a little below here, and this is the hammer arrestor on the cold water pipe, and it just nicked the very top of it. So the water had to be shut off real quick while they soldered on a new cap. But in order to do all that, we had to cut this drywall out here. And then you can see it just got even weaker here. So our strategy here is we're going to cut a hole that goes along here and stops there. And we'll just cut a strip of drywall to put in there. And we'll put down some wood pieces. Now we have to be careful and know, like, our cold water pipe is here. And we know that our hot water pipe is here. So we got to make sure we're not going to be running any screws into those pipes. That would be just absolutely disastrous. So that's the only thing you have to worry about here. But that's why, you know, we're going to cut all the way across here and slip in the wood behind it to brace it up. Okay, now before we cut, I just wanted to point out I'm a big proponent of not having dust anywhere on your work site. So I'm using my shop vac hookup here. I've just got it resting here on top of the water shutoff valves there, so that once we start cutting here, it'll collect all the dust right there. And there's a couple of ways you can do it. You can use a drywall handsaw, you can use a utility knife. I'm going to be using my Sonic Crafter here, and I like using this because it's the most effortless way to cut through drywall, and it gives you a nice clean cut with a lot less dust. And if you look at the blade there, you can see it sort of has a depth protection built into it, so it protects you from going too deep into the wall. You can't go any deeper than the depth of the drywall. That's what's great about this. So I can cut right by here in confidence without having to worry about that I'm going to poke into any of these pipes. that just took a few seconds, and you can see there's not really much dust at all. So we're gonna pull this out now. Right, so there's our hole, all nice and cut up, nice and clean with the Sonicrafter. And then we found, I forgot, we had already put a piece of wood back in here when we were putting this wall together originally. So we've already got our one piece here that we need, and we'll go ahead and we'll put another one right in here. And the space back in there is basically a 2x4 space, so we'll just get a little chunk of wood, enough to go up behind here to brace, and down below here to screw into to keep it in place. And we'll get that added in there too. Okay, so we'll put one more screw in the middle there. So we've got our big piece of wood there, and we'll do the same thing here. We'll secure this other one here, and then that'll be a nice back brace there to screw our drywall into. Okay, so both of our wood pieces are in now, and nice and solid. So let's get the drywall piece cut. We'll do that with a utility knife. We'll just score and snap it. Okay, so I've gone ahead and scored it, and that's to length there, so I'm just going to snap it. That's called scoring and snapping, see, so we have a nice clean edge there. And then we just come along the back edge here, and we'll go ahead and cut all the way down the line here and just separate the two pieces. And there we have it. So there's our cut piece. We're going to stick it up there in the slot now. So before you put your piece in, I always like to mark where my pipes are, any of the keep outs, stuff like that. So one pipe is there, another pipe is here. You want to make sure you don't go near them. And then I mark where my wood is so I know where I'm safe. But of course, we've already got our screws there, so we know as long as we stay opposite where the screws were, we should be fine. And that's really all you need to worry about there. So there is our drywall piece in place. And remember, when you cut, you always want to size it so that you're really left with very little seam in there. Little space as possible between the drywall pieces. Now we're just going to insert some screws in here and in here. So that's the only place we can put screws, but it'll be enough to hold it in place, and then by the time we tape it and mud it, this thing will all be a nice solid plane. Right in there, baby. Okay, so that's all screwed in. And I want you to make special note here. Look at the depth of my screws. Notice how they don't go all the way in? All you want it to do is to just barely break the surface and just barely go underneath, because the drywall gets its strength from the paper. So if you screw the screw all the way in and you start to see white around the wall there from the crater, then you've gone too far and you've compromised the drywall, and now the drywall is just going to move back and forth on the screw, and you're not going to end up being successful securing there. Alright, so I went in here and purposely did this one here incorrect for you. Let me try to get it nice and well lit and stabilized for you. That screw is in too far. So if you see any screws like that middle one, he's in too far. Okay? So the screws on either side of it are the way you want to do this. Okay, so I just wanted you to be aware of that. So we purposely made that hole in the middle too deep to show you that is not the way you want to do it. Because the screws need to be pushing against the paper. If they're not pushing against the paper, they're not going to be securing the drywall. This one is not securing against the paper because he's already poked through the paper and he's halfway through into the gypsum in the middle there. So that's what you want to avoid. Okay? So anytime you're hanging drywall sheets or doing drywall patches onto walls, you want to keep this in mind with your drywall screws, to just barely go under the surface. And I know I'm harping on it, I'm going over it and over it, but I got to drill that into your brains, because that's the part that most people miss, even the alleged professionals. And I can't tell you how many condos I've gone into where I saw what a botched job the builders guys did, because you can see little bump outs all up the wall from where the screws are. Sometimes you don't even need a stud finder, because you can easily find all of their drywall screws, because they did such a pathetic job installing the drywall when they hung those sheets of drywall to form the walls. Alright, so let's go ahead and tape this up and get it mudded. So we've got our taping complete here, so now we're going to mix up some rapid set joint compound to make this drywall patch look like it was never even there. And by the way, this is a good time I wanted to point out to you. I wanted to mention to you my friend Paul Peck, who has a really good YouTube channel. He's probably one of the top drywall installers in the country, and he's just an expert at taping and mudding. He's been doing it for 20-25 years. So if you really want to up your game on drywall and taping and mudding and all that stuff, and fixing, patching all sorts of strange problems you might come across, you got to go watch some of his videos. His videos will teach you everything about skimming and just everything. And he's very easy to follow, very easy to understand, and I wish that some of these other contractors out there would watch some of his videos. So I will put a link to his channel down in the description below for you, and I highly encourage you to go watch some of his videos on skimming and stuff. That will give you much more detail than what I'm going to show you here. So I usually get the joint compound here with a 20-minute set time. This is the fast stuff. And you got to remember, once you mix it, it'll solidify in 20 minutes or so. So you want to work with it fairly fast and get it done and get it on the wall so that it'll harden, and then quickly you'll be able to put a second layer on, and not too long after that. But I usually pour the water in first here in my little pan. I add the powdered mix here, and I'm just going to mix it up for about a minute or so, a couple minutes, till it gets into like a nice, almost like a peanut butter consistency, maybe a little more soupier than that. And that's pretty much all we have to do. Alright, so I've pretty much reached the consistency that I like here. A little bit on the soupier side compared to the drywall mud that you might typically buy in those buckets with the green lid. So I'm going to let this sit untouched for about a minute or so and let it slake. And that allows all the chemical reactions to complete. It's the same thing when we're doing mixing thin set mortar for tiling. You have to slake it for like 10 minutes, but this stuff here, it only needs about a minute to slake. Alright, so we are now done slaking, and we're going to go ahead and skim some of this drywall mud right here onto the drywall patch. And normally I would like to do it with my 9-inch knife, but it's just not going to fit there. So I'm going to have to use either the 4-inch or the 6-inch here to do it. Okay, so I just troweled on the first coat there and skimmed it down with the 6-inch taping knife. And we'll let this set up a while. Probably come back in about 45 minutes or so and see if it's set up enough for us to put a second layer on there. And we'll probably end up going 3 layers. And so there is our repair so far. That's after 2 layers of drywall mud there. And so we'll have to decide if we want to sand it down and add a 3rd layer or not. The granite guys will be here later this afternoon, and we'll see how much time we have. Because basically there's going to be a sink here and a sink here in front of it. Nobody will ever see it. So you're probably wondering, hey, does it make sense then to spend all this time and effort and make it perfect on here? And I say, yes it does, and I'll tell you why. Because if you've never done this before, this is a great chance for you to get some practice in. And what better place to practice than in a spot where nobody's ever going to see it, to help get you, some hours in, some time in on doing this. Because this isn't something that you learn how to do right away. I mean, this takes years and years of practice. These guys that do it day in and day out, like Paul Peck, like I mentioned earlier, those guys are just true artists in their craft. And so if you want to get good like that, I would say, yeah, do it, treat it here as though you were doing it right in the middle of the living room wall where everybody would see it. And then see how good you can do it. How good can you refine it? How good can you knife it out and trowel it down nice and smooth and everything? And then can you sand it, whatever's left? Can you do it without having to do a whole bunch of sanding? And can you sand it nice and smooth so that nobody can see, like right around the edges here? So we need to give this more time to dry. You can see in the middle where it's a little darker, and then it's getting white as it dries, where it thins out, where it feathers out towards the end here. So you can see our original repair was over in here, but we usually feather out far away from it. And so that's how you do this repair, folks. Well, this is our video, the end of it, and hopefully this fix helped you out. So if you like this video, once again, let me remind you, please give us a thumbs up down below. If this video helped you, please let us know in the comments. We always want to hear our success with other people as well, because after all, we do this for you. And don't forget to subscribe so that you can be aware of any future videos we put out for you, because again, we do this all for you. So that's it for this time, and we will see you next week.